Welcome, everybody. It's been about 10 weeks since we've been able to worship together here at Good Shepherd, and now with plans to resume our worship on June 7th as a family of faith gathered in one place, the Shepherd elders and I have been discussing what needs to be done, and with the council's blessing, we've developed some procedures that we felt you needed to be informed of as we open our doors for our worship. And so let's take a few minutes and discuss those things that will be put in place for your convenience, your comfort, your safety, and your worship. Okay, let's start with the plan. And this is the plan that the shepherding elders and I, with the council's blessings, came up with. As you can see, it's quite a jumble of different ideas and interconnecting arrows and whatnot. And that's because when we stop and think about what goes into a Sunday morning church service, there are all sorts of little pieces that interconnect and fit together to make what we call our worship experience. And so in this presentation, I'm going to try and simplify this for you. Well, so let's remember that all of these procedures we're talking about are going to be temporary. They're going to change over time, and we hope to be able to relax them as we become more and more comfortable. And some of them may not work. Let's face it, we are approaching this, the shepherding elders and the council and I are approaching this to see if it works and how it works. And so please give us your constructive opinions and ideas, and we may modify these things as we go along to make them work easier. So let's look at some general procedures. Obviously, if you're feeling ill, if you have symptoms of COVID or another illness, it's probably best to just stay home. Don't make your brothers and sisters nervous. Stay home until you're well, and certainly let me know and I can serve you privately. Attendees are not obligated, but strongly encouraged to wear face masks. Yes, you may not think it's necessary, but your brother or sister in the faith may. And it can be a nuisance. My glasses steam up when I wear one. But if it makes you feel comfortable, that's what really matters. The little bit of inconvenience is no big deal. Now, if you arrive at church and you say, "Oh, I forgot my face mask," don't leave. We have some here that we'll be happy to give you. The main entry doors, and those would be the doors underneath the drive-through, will be the only doors that are open. The south entry door, the little office door, those will be locked. So please come into the building only through those doors that are open. And either they will be propped open on a nice day, or someone will be there opening the door to minimize contact with that door and the door handle. There will be hand sanitizers stations around the narthex and the church. We will be getting automatic ones. They're still in the mail, but there are the pump bottles there, and please use those coming in or leaving. Please refrain from entering the educational wing. That would be the gym and the classrooms. That way it just minimizes the amount of sanitizing and cleaning that needs to be done after the service each week. Unless, of course, there's an emergency. Then by all means use that section. But for the most part, if you can refrain, that would be appreciated. Now, when you enter into the narthex, we will not be using the mail slots. There will be chairs set up in the narthex for people to sit so that we can keep all our social distancing. So simply come into the narthex, follow the path that'll be outlined, and then enter the sanctuary. Please, no handshaking, hugging, as much as we're going to want to do that and may even catch ourselves doing it. Please don't do that, but certainly wave and greet each other with a smile. That means so much. And keep your distance, please. Again, that 6-foot distance. You may not think it's necessary, and maybe it isn't, but again, the impression that we give that we are trying our best to keep people safe is what's important. As you enter the sanctuary, you'll be met by a gloved and masked usher who will then give you the bulletin. That usher will assist you in any way. He'll lead you to an open pew. He'll answer whatever questions you might have. Every other pew is going to be blocked off. So we'll be seating people in every other pew and row of chairs. That means you may not be sitting in your favorite seat. Again, let's all work together and be patient. We're going to try and seat a family in a bench or a pew, or 4 or 5 people. Now, families can, of course, be a little more scrunched together, but if there's someone else in the pew that is not part of your family, please keep that respectful 6-foot distance. The bulletins will be handed to you as you come in. There will not be any hymnals in the pew racks. Again, that helps cut it down the amount of sanitizing that needs to be done. The hymns will be in the bulletin and printed out. And if that doesn't work over time, then a hymnal will be handed to you as you enter the sanctuary and receive your bulletin. The service is going to be shortened. We're going to try and keep it to that 45 minutes, including communion, again, to keep the amount of contact down. You'll also notice that the amount of singing is reduced. And one of our medical professionals mentioned that, and something that I didn't think of, is that when you sing, you are projecting and therefore pushing those water droplets further. And so it was recommended that you wear a mask as we sing as well. Not the most comfortable, but don't worry, God understands what you're singing, even though the person next to you may not. Again, just a consideration to think about. The offerings, like we had done, will be received. You can place those in the plate as you enter the sanctuary or as you leave the sanctuary after worship. And we ask that you wait till I dismiss you after the service. And that's so we can do it in an orderly way and not have people walking past each other. And maybe making that 6-foot distance smaller and making others uncomfortable. So please wait. Again, consideration. Don't congregate in the narthex either before or after the service, but continue to exit the building. And if you want to visit and talk outside on a nice day, please go ahead and do that, keeping that distance. And after each service, all of the high contact areas will be disinfected and cleaned. So you can be assured that you are entering a clean building each week, or if you visit during the week. Now, what about communion? Those setting up communion will wear masks and gloves. They will sanitize everything before they use it. And they will wash their hands and the elements afterwards like they always have done. For the foreseeable future, we will offer wine only in the individual small little glasses. And the cups will be separated in alternating holes and alternating lines in the communion tray. That way it minimizes contact with other glasses and just makes it easier to practice those sanitary procedures. The pastor and the elders will, of course, sanitize their hands and wear gloves and masks before the distribution. Now, the distribution is going to be a little bit different. In fact, it's going to be a lot different from what we are used to. Those of you who may have ever attended a larger congregation may have seen this. It's called continual communion. So this is how it'll work. When you are ushered out of your pew, there will be X's on the floor for you to stand like we have in the stores. And then in a continuous line, you will move to the front where 2 tables will be set up on either side. At one table, the elder will give you the bread, and then at the second table, you will receive the cup of wine. So continue to walk your way, take the wine, drink it, and then deposit it in a basket and come back to your seat. If you are seated in this center section, you too will come down that line, past the tables, and then come all the way along the back and then find your seat as well. And so it's a continuous moving that is happening here. Again, we're not going to use the kneelers. We're not going to try and pile people together, but we'll keep that social distance of about 6 feet. Families, of course, can commune together. There will be no special children's blessing during communion as we have done before. Your children are invited to come forward with you, and once everyone has gone through the communion line, I will then pronounce the blessing and dismissal as part of that. And that again will continue to allow us to move more quickly. Now, if you are uncomfortable with this, by all means, please call. Call the church office and we'll set up an appointment, and I will commune you privately, either at your home or here at church. So these are the procedures that we're going to start with on June 7th. As I said, it is a work in progress and will be modified as we go along with what works and what maybe needs some tweaking to work a little bit better. But as we approach this with love for each other and love for our Lord, we will certainly find His blessings. And so until we can see each other on June 7th, may God bless